What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with another NBA Power Rankings video. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and Brady and I are going to be, looking at the teams with all the COVID happening, injuries, all this stuff, and we're putting this video out the day before Christmas. We're going to get right into it here as we got our Detroit Pistons coming in last place.
All right, so the Pistons, not the expectations we were looking for. Pretty much the whole team is under protocol for the most part. Sadiq Bey playing like 43 minutes last night, doing all I can, but we just don't look good. We look like a JV team right now. The Pistons, they just have no consistency. The defense is lacking. They don't really have a consistent scorer. Jeremy Grant's out. It's looking rough right now. But when we get that first overall lottery pick, that's what we're looking for right now. But other than that, I don't know. I think it's gonna be the same way throughout the year, especially if Jeremy Grant's not coming back for a minute.
29th, we've got the Orlando Magic. We're in the same situation, looking for a top 3 pick this year. They got Mo Bamba, Terrence Ross, Mo Wagner, just to name a few names on the COVID list. Been on there for a week now, so hopefully they come back soon. But, the only bright spot has been Mo Wagner this year. Kind of slid in the draft a little bit, but fell to the Magic, and it worked out for him, at least so far. Other than that, there's not really much to report on this Magic team other than, typical losing season.
Coming up next, we got the Houston Rockets. They actually started performing a little bit better, surprisingly, when Jalen Green got hurt for that minute. I feel like he's just a point chaser for the most part. They're still trying to figure out, I think, the John Wall situation over there. I think, honestly, just like the last 2 teams we mentioned, another team that could use a nice draft pick. They're struggling this year, not a lot of consistency. I think Jacob was a solid pick for them later in the draft, but still can't really figure it out right now.
27th, we got the Sacramento Kings, who they also got hit hard by COVID. I'm looking at here, they got Bagley, Alex Len, De'Aaron Fox, Davion Mitchell, some key contributors to the team that are in the protocols right now. But Tyrese Halliburton has stepped up big for this Kings team. Last year, a really good rookie, and he's having a pretty good sophomore year as well. Buddy Hield, still doing good. And Harrison Barnes is a name, when he signed with the Kings, everyone was kind of like, what? Like, why is he going here? But he's really been a solid player for the last few years, not just on the Kings, but even dating back to the Warriors, when he was getting overshadowed. So definitely a very underrated player for this Kings team. But other than those few names I just mentioned, there's not really too much to be excited about if you're a Sacramento fan.
All right, coming in 26, we have the Portland Trailblazers. This team has kind of been disappointing almost all year. I think they've been struggling. CJ, I think, is still out right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But another team that just can't figure out how to score, can't figure out how to stop teams. I mean, a 13-9, 19 record coming off multiple playoff appearances in the past. That's tough, and I really don't know what the issue is. You still got Nurkic and you still got Dame time. So, I mean, for them to be 13-19, I think it's time for the management to actually take a look at themselves and be like, we have to start making moves. I think Dame's got to go. I think CJ's got to go too. They need a fresh start. They're not going to win a ring with this team they have right now.
And 25th, we got the Thunder, who lost by, 73 points?
Yeah.
4 points, something like that. But since that moment, early in this December, they have been playing very competitive basketball. Throughout this whole month. I believe, 5-6 is not bad since we last ranked them. And a team that, everyone was expecting to be pretty much terrible, bottom. I mean, they're not bottom tier like the Pistons are, but, they'll play you tough. As long as they got Shy out there, this team has a chance to win every night because he's capable of dropping 30, 40 a night. He's a big piece moving forward just for this Thunder organization. And with 11 first round, 12 first round picks in the next 6 years, I think they'll be very okay. They'll hit a few on there, but right now the Thunder are still looking to rebuild and planning on to do that for the next few years.
Coming out 24th, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, who, unlike Most teams don't really have anyone under COVID protocols right now. Obviously, we know the Zion situation is extremely unfortunate. This guy cannot get healthy. I don't really know what they plan on doing with him. He was supposed to come back. Everyone saw he looked a little overweight. And then all of a sudden his foot didn't heal right. So now he's back out probably for the year. I don't know if it was already ruled or not, but I think this is just a completely disappointing situation for the Pelicans. I mean, your star, your moneymaker is supposed to be out there making highlights, and you can't even rely on him to be there right now. So I don't know. I think once if Zion's on the floor, I'm saying they're a top 20, maybe top 15 team if they're playing at their best with Brandon Ingram. But I mean, they're not going to do anything without Zion on the floor right now.
23rd, we got the San Antonio Spurs, who, no one in COVID protocols right now, which is good. It feels like almost every team has someone in protocols. But I think something worth noting is, this team's 13 and 18 right now, but they just destroyed the Clippers in LA and destroyed the Lakers last night in LA. Those are two huge wins. I think that'll rally this team, at least for the next few games, because they got the Pistons at home coming up, and then they got the Jazz at home. And I think if they can pull off that upset against the Jazz, this Spurs team could get hot because they have a few pieces, that not really everyone was thinking about, that really had a shot. We knew that they wouldn't be too good this year. Maybe they'll get a play-in game, and hopefully, that's what they were going for. But DeJounte Murray has really stepped up this year. Once Patty Mills left, he kind of took it upon himself and knew that, all right, I got to be the guy this year. And he has filled into that role really well. And another, name to mention is Keldon Johnson. He really came out of nowhere. He's been a good part for the Spurs last year as well. But this right now, I mean, you got to be happy if you're a Spurs fan, what he's doing. Averaging 15 a game, almost 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And he's really, getting his minutes and getting that experience. I think what's going to be key for him and the Spurs moving down the stretch.
Coming up next, we have the Indiana Pacers. I think this team plays better than a 22nd ranked team in the NBA. Miles Turner is honestly that guy. He's solid. I mean, on the defensive side, I think last night he dropped another double-double, I want to say, with like 25 points. This dude's legit, but at the same time, you have Sabonis wanting to leave. I don't think that helps anything. Karis LeVert is actually just starting to step it up once again, and he really hasn't since the whole injury scare last year. But I don't know. I think this team should be better than 22nd. I think that's a little bit disappointing for them, but hopefully they come around. Maybe they get something good for Sabonis, but we'll see. We'll see.
21st, we got our biggest faller in this power rankings video, the New York Knicks, and we had them 9th. They were hot. I think that's kind of why we put them so high, and now they've fallen even out of a play-in game in the East. Yikes, almost halfway through the season, and that's where you're sitting. Not looking pretty for the Knicks, but you're losing D Rose for several weeks. That doesn't help, but at least you got Cardiac Kemba back. I think he belongs a Knick. He always does good in Madison Square Garden. I think that's his home, at least for a few more years. It should be, as long as Julius Randle's there. And I think, if they can rely on those two guys throughout this year, in the upcoming years, I think the Knicks will be okay. Probably a play-in team right now at best, unless they can add a few pieces or hit in the draft. But 14 and 18, I think they will step it up, and they'll probably get into the playoffs somehow.
On 20th, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves, who also just put Karl Anthony Towns in protocol. This was a team I was honestly rooting for. I think everyone saw the highlights against the Lakers. Karl Anthony Towns literally bodied their entire team. So, I mean, this is one of those teams that I think if he's around and he's on his game and these guys get hot, they're a whole new organization. But obviously with him getting put in these protocols now, I don't have high expectations for them to win without him, because he is a key piece, and he's honestly a top player in the NBA. He's just not talked about quite as much as these other guys. But we'll see if they can figure something out. But without Cat on the floor, I don't think they're going to do anything.
19th, we got the Los Angeles Lakers, and right now they've lost 4 in a row. Probably soon to be 5 in a row after this video drops because they got the Nets coming in on Christmas. Um, AD has been the big problem. I've seen all the debates. Is it LeBron? Is it AD? Is it management? Is it bringing all those guys? No, it's all on AD. You trade for your whole franchise for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not reliable. He gets hurt all the time, and I think that's his problem. Him getting hurt all the time is what is the downfall of the Lakers. Because when he's out there, I believe they have a winning record. But LeBron's getting old. I mean, obviously he's still LeBron, top 5 player in the game right now. But for you to expect LeBron to go out there and average 35 triple-double numbers every night, it's going to take a toll on his body. And if they make the playoffs come playoff time, LeBron, obviously we know he's a great playoff performer, but this would have to be like the biggest carrying I think he's had to do in his career.
Right.
Because obviously young Bron with the Cavs, he can handle it. He's young, like his body's okay, but now it's taking a toll on him. He spends over $1 million a year on his body.
And he's playing against the other team and against Russ half the time, his own teammate. Russ is out here taking ridiculous shots, missing wide open layups. Like it's not flowing right now.
No, not at all. And I think, this, All-Star break is really going to show coming up in February if they can, finally get the rest that they need and kind of just go from there and either get better, or where they're going to be at in the All-Star break is also going to be a telling piece to where this Lakers team is heading come playoff time. But I think if they stay around 500, I think this Laker team, still has a shot for at least a play-in game, because I think it's a tough task to ask LeBron to not make the playoffs. It just seems like he's in there somehow every year. But this Lakers team right now is trending in the wrong direction.
Coming at 18th, we have the Toronto Raptors. Specifically, we can mention, big Cade guys, both of us, Motortown Cade, but Scotty Barnes right now is the rookie of the year. I don't care what anyone says. His numbers are ridiculous. He's not on a great team, but he's still managing to score. He's got Fred with him too, Siakam. They're still a decent team, but he's still almost turning it into his team at such a young age, which I think is extremely impressive. So putting them at 18th, that sucks. But at the same time, they're one piece away from really shooting right back up. This team knows how to win. They've been in those situations before. So I'm not counting this team out. I think they can go out and win on any given night with their lineup. They just got to start getting hot. They got to get consistent. They got to go into the All-Star break confident. And yeah, I know. We'll see what they can do.
All right, Dallas Mavericks. Once again, Luka. We already know he's the God Squad. He carries his team, but he's in protocols with Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber, Josh Green, and Reggie Bullock. So there's 6 guys that are out, so half your team. And I mean, once again, it's going to come down to what's Kristaps going to do. Yeah, I feel like it always comes down to Kristaps. And how good this team is. He's definitely going to be an interesting name that's going to be thrown around at the trade deadline. But for the Mavs, I think, if you stay around 500, they're kind of like the Lakers. They're playing team, maybe squeak into like a 6 seed. But I really can't see them being above a 6 or better.
So coming next, we have the Atlanta Hawks, who I'm pretty sure, they got hit with COVID hard. Pretty much whole team out right now, had to postpone their game. But I mean, besides the point, a 16th rank for the Atlanta Hawks, I think, is ridiculous. Like this team should be insane. I feel like they're young, they have talent, they went to the playoffs last, like they know what they're in for. And for them to not be winning games, I think is crazy to me. They surrounded Trae Young, who's already a shooter, with more shooters. You have Capella down low. Like I can't see any reason why this team wouldn't be winning games right now. But, hopefully once this All-Star breaks over, because we'll see. I mean, Trae Young might be on there, but I don't think anyone else from the Hawks will be. So after that, hopefully they get it together, healthy, pass protocols, and then go on a run, because this is a team I like to see winning games. They're fun to watch. But no, a 16th rank is a little upsetting for him, I think.
And then 15th, we got the Denver Nuggets, who have been struggling as of late, but you still got Jokic. Who knows with what's his face, Murray.
Right.
they were saying end of the year, and then now it's will he even play this year? Big question marks around him. But I think, if you've Jokic, you're a guaranteed playoff team. He's
Mhm.
averaging 26 and 13 and a half rebounds and 7 assists and 1 steal and blocks. I'm looking at the team leaders here on ESPN, and he is leading the whole team in
Mhm.
every single stat category in a good way. But other guys like Aaron Gordon, who were kind of coming out of nowhere, really producing. Will Barton, a name to keep in mind for potential, most improved. But I think this Nuggets team is going to be okay, and expect this team, to maybe move a few pieces around the deadline, to either get younger or to maybe solidify their roster and bench a little bit. But this Nuggets team could get scary, come playoffs, because we've seen, they can make a run.
Mhm. It's coming out 14th. We have the 76ers. So, they started to figure it out. I think kudos to them for finding Andre Drummond and actually putting him in a spot where he kind of fits better than he has in the past few teams he's played for. I know he's on protocols right now, and I think at least two others are. But the whole Ben Simmons situation was just is a mess still. But I honestly thought they'd be worse than 14th right now. I thought Embiid would have a couple injuries that would knock him out. I didn't think Curry would be able to turn it into his team. But they've kind of played like they're ready to go. I mean, you think if Ben's there, they're a whole different team right now. They're
Mhm.
probably top 10, maybe top 8, but still playing for a playoff spot. I respect them for going out there and playing every night. I think Embiid is still that guy. I think he's a dog MVP candidate almost every year. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can figure something out with Ben Simmons, because I'd like to see this team win some games.
13th, we got the Boston Celtics, and they got 8 guys in COVID protocols right now. But luckily, it's not Jason Tatum. It's not Marcus Smart. The
Mhm.
guys that you need, to score and win games. So they kind of are passing the test a little bit right now, but losing almost every big they have is not good as well. They will not win offensive rebound battles. Just little things like that are going to add up. And I think if you're the Celtics right now, 16, 500 is very good spot. Especially in the East, they're just going to beat each other up. There's no solidified number one team right now. I mean, yeah, you can make the argument for the Nets, but now they have guys in COVID protocol. So um, I don't know. I'm definitely interested to see how this team, comes around the trade deadline too. Obviously it's a few months away, but right now I think they're trending towards we need to kind of win, maybe get a piece or two, nothing too big. Because I don't think there's gonna be too many big names out there. Maybe John Wall could be a nice addition to this team. Who
Right,
knows?
right.
But I think Boston is very good right now, a very underrated team as well. And we know how Jason Tatum does in the playoffs. So just
Mhm.
get him to the playoffs, and I think the Celtics team will be okay.
It's coming out 12th. I think a constant favorite team is the Charlotte Hornets. I love this team. Miles Bridges has stepped it up tremendously. He's about to get a huge contract after this year. Well deserved for him. LaMelo Ball is LaMelo Ball. He's the person a lot of people didn't want to see him be. He came in and he's lights out. He's that guy. Gordon Hayward, another great addition to this team. Scary Terry, like they have a team, and on top of that, they have Michael Jordan affiliated with their team. Like, I don't know. I think this team believes in themselves, and I think they like winning. They're young. They go out there, they play hard. They even their commentators, they bring the energy. This team is an energy team, and I think everyone likes seeing them winning. It's nice seeing them at 12 because they have so much potential still left in them. This team could honestly do anything.
Coming in at 11th, you get the Washington Wizards, who just lost Bradley Beal and Kentavious Caldwell Pope to COVID protocols for at least a week. Um, and that I think they're going to be okay because
Hmm.
their GM brought in some pieces that maybe could have been questionable moves. Like, why are you bringing these guys? But they have all turned out to be perfect fits. Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell. Um, they're really the gel that keeps the team together, and you're really going to see that I think now with both of KCP and Beal out. But 11th, right now for this Wizards team that was absolutely terrible last year. Um, I think you can't complain where they're at right now. And another team in the East that, first time playoff contenders more than likely in a while. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they, continue through this season. But I think this team may avoid a play-in game. I think they will be, good enough to avoid the play-in game, at least as of right now.
So coming in 10th, we have the LA Clippers. Like we said, lost an unfortunate one the other night to the Spurs. I did not think this team would be a top 10 rank though. That's where I'm going to start. Reggie Jackson's out right now. Marcus Morris is out right now. That's tough. But at the end of the day, you don't have Kawhi in your team. He is that guy. Like Paul George has taken this team and made it his. I feel like there's like a lot of jokes because every team Paul George is on, he's like, oh, I want to finish my career here. I want to retire here. I think Paul George was meant for LA. He was meant to run this team. And I think he really kind of put it in his hands here. And now he's actually running the team. And we're seeing that. Not quite vintage Paul George, because I don't think we'll ever fully get that again. But he's locked down. He's scoring. He's doing what he has to do to get his team to win games. I think since our last ranking, them going 6 and 5, that's probably got to change. Obviously going to the All-Star break, you're gonna want a lot more motivation than that. But I mean, to be 17 and 15 as a Clippers fan, I would not complain slightly about that.
Coming in at 9th, we got the Memphis Grizzlies, who, good for them for being this good. I knew that they would be a playoff team, but right now they're looking like a lock for a 5-4 seed at worst. Lost Ja Morant for a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and kind of everybody in the NBA was like, "Uh-oh, what's this Grizzly team going to do?" Well, they ripped off some wins that, they shouldn't have won. And I just think that shows who this team is. You lose your star and it's either you win good, you're a great team, you're a good core and have a good, nucleus, or all right, well, we're done because he's gone. And it looks like the Grizzlies are a team, fundamentally sound team that can play basketball together. The chemistry's got to be there. And I just think Ja Morant brings the best out of everybody. Right now, if the Pelicans, they're probably wishing they took Ja Morant. Just because, Ja's been healthy. He's been, more exciting to watch, obviously, because he's playing. And he's really brought the Grizzlies from nobodies to somebody's. And that's obviously what you want for your first round pick, your number 2 pick, to be someone to be that franchise guy. And Ja Morant has lived up to that. And going forward, I think some names to watch are Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks are going to be the guys that you're going to be hearing about a lot come, after Christmas here.
Coming at 8th, we have, for me personally, these surprising Cleveland Cavaliers. Like who thought this team would be winning games right now? They're 8 and 3 since our last ranking. They're 19 and 13. I mean, they have 8 players out right now on the COVID list, obviously, but Jared Allen, when he's around, literally a horse for the boards. Guy's a dog. Evan Mobley, throw him in the top 3 rookie of the year contender. Isaac Okoro, they have a good team. I feel like they don't have those star players, but they have enough to just work together. And Ricky Rubio, this dude has been playing for years, different teams. Half the people don't even know who he's playing for, but he's playing for the Cavs. I'm here to tell you, he's playing for the Cavs. Like, they're winning games right now for a reason. This team is blending. Like I said, I would have never anticipated this team to be winning this many games as of right now.
7th, we got the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler, without Bam. This team was kind of question marks, but you got Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, and a name that nobody expected to hear is Dwayne Dedmon. Dude has stepped up in a very big way since Bam, got put on the list. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't even really know of this guy, it felt like, coming into this year. And he's been a huge piece for this Heat team. When they get Bam back, I think this team is going to be very scary come, after Christmas here, because we're starting to get towards the midway point. And, the Heat are looking like they're starting to click on all cylinders. And, you got Bubble Tyler Hero back. So this Heat team can make a run and potentially, come when it's time for playoffs, this Heat team could be a number 1 seed. That's how good they can be if all of them stay healthy, don't get hurt.
Coming out of 6, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, who I'm looking right here. Definitely got hit with COVID a little bit. Not a lot of people, but a lot of important people. You know, you're throwing Giannis, DiVincenzo, Bobby Portis in there. Chris Middleton is still Chris Middleton. I don't think that'll ever change. Drew Holiday is still performing. 8-5 since our last ranking. I mean, this is kind of what we expected from this team, you know. I don't think they'll finish at 6th. It'll probably be a little better if I wanted to guess by the end of the year. But I don't see this team falling out anytime soon. They got off to a pretty slow start this year, but I don't think anyone was worried. You know, they have at the end of the day, they have Giannis on their team, and that guy is absolutely unstoppable, no matter who you put in front of him for the most part. Chris Middleton is willing to make any shot at any given moment, go off at any given moment, and Drew Holiday is a fantastic ball. You know, he's just a playmaker, is what he is. He gets his guys open. You know, this team was young, and now they're kind of growing together, I think. So that they'll figure it out. This will be another championship contender team this year.
5th, we got the Chicago Bulls. All their players have just exited protocols, but they lost Caruso for at least a week. You know, it could be a way bigger injury than it is. So that's the sigh of relief for all the Bulls fans out there. But, you know, now you got everyone back healthy. DeRozan, Vucevic, Lonzo, Levine, you know, all these guys are back. And they survived, you know, the COVID, going 5-2 since our last ranking, and didn't really falter that much because I think they got bailed a little bit because they started postponing games because of the Bulls situation. So, you know, that's something to monitor, as well as they got pretty much the luckiest out of all the teams that got hit with COVID. But to their credit, you know, I feel like it would have been disrespectful to even put a team out there. Just because it's all the no-minute guys or few-minute guys that would have been playing. So it really wouldn't have been a contest. But coming in at 5th, I think this Bulls team is going to be scary. Every game, you know, they compete. They don't take a game off, and that's what I like about this Bulls team. But moving forward, I think the big question is who's going to be, I guess you could say, the forward for this team, because we know, you know, DeRozan, he can run. He looks like he's more of a shooting guard than a small forward. Lonzo at point, and I don't know. I think they will make a big move come deadline. We saw it was it last year, or was it off season? I can't remember. Off season. So they're not afraid to make big moves, and I think they're going to make another one when the trade deadline is coming up.
It's coming out 4th, the expected Brooklyn Nets, who I think just got ran through by COVID with their entire roster. You know, I think the big news to talk about is Kyrie Irving, the games he's going to be available for. I think it was like certain away games at certain arenas. You know, KD, I don't think has been cleared back yet. Harden's going to be back. But this team's still scary. I mean, Kevin Durant, you throw him in the MVP contender with Curry, you know, Jokic, these guys, he's still playing like he's that guy coming off the Achilles. He doesn't matter. You cannot guard Kevin Durant. And when he's healthy, if they get Kyrie available and willing, or I mean, assuming he will or will not, I guess, be available for playoffs, this is going to be a scary team once again. Just a bunch of scorers on the floor, you know, and Cam Thomas from LSU too. I talked about him in the last video. He's gotten playing time now with COVID hitting everyone, even though he was thrown on there, I think, recently too. But even before then, this kid has stepped up too. This team is definitely scary. They're going to be good. Once again, another championship contender team if they can stay consistent and healthy.
And, you know, right now we got the Utah Jazz coming in at 3rd. You know, we say it every year, most consistent team every year. There's not really much to write home here to talk about. Donovan Mitchell, obviously stud. Rudy Gobert, stud. And I really can't think of anything to talk about with this Jazz team just because they do it every game, most consistent. And moving forward, they're going to be just this good. But unfortunately, they got 2 teams in front of them in the West.
Coming out 2nd, we have the Golden State Warriors, who I think right now have the MVP on their team, Steph Curry. This guy's insane. And we're putting him at 2nd. They don't even have Klay Thompson back yet. I don't even know where to start with this team. Like, you think of all the weapons they have, and just not Klay Thompson, who's one of the best shooters to ever play the game. You know, Jordan Poole, I think, is on COVID protocol right now, but that's my most improved player of the year, or sixth man, either or. This guy's been insane. And I don't know. I'm pumped to see what happens when Klay Thompson comes back, because I don't know how a team could stop anyone when they have two of the best shooters in the league on one team.
And number one, we got the Phoenix Suns, who, you know, when they played the Warriors, we were like, all right, what's going to happen? And they showed up. That's for sure. 26-5. You know, this Suns team last year made it to the finals, lost, unfortunately. And I think this year, there's no way they don't at least make it to the second round of the playoffs. I can't see them losing in the first round, no matter what seed they are. And this team is too good to just falter. Unless injuries or something bad with COVID happens to this team, there's no chance in them faltering down the rankings, probably even past 5, at the rate, you know, how good they've been and just how inconsistent all the other teams are. But to the Phoenix Suns' credit, I think they're doing a great job, you know, sticking together, playing as a team. There's no really, obviously they have superstars on their team, but there's no solidified superstar every night that's going to come out and show up. And I think that's what makes this team so good. But, you know, moving forward, we're going to see. I think it's between the Warriors and Suns for this one spot in our next power rankings. Unless, you know, some East team gets really hot. But that'll be it for our video today. Oops, wrong one. Got to go back the slide. There we go. Gotta throw in the Patrick Star and SpongeBob. But happy holidays to all. You know, we're releasing this the day before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to all. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.